Well, alright then, showtime. Drip like 7-pan clothesline. R.I.P. those guys. Party was see we keep close eye. Now laps feeling up, see all my vibes on the West Coast.
YouTube, Brooklyn, and welcome back in the neighborhood. King here. Yo, we got Jimmy High Roller. This is the only way to settle this debate. Link to the original video is going to be down below in the description box. If you're new, hit that sub, hit that like. Welcome King, welcome Queen to the neighborhood. Let's go ahead and see what you got popping in this.
Ranking NBA players is useless, but it's also really fun. Every NBA fan at some point has created their own ranking. It's like our official pastime at this point. And with the game as data-driven and awards and accomplishments as absolute as the NBA has, you'd think ranking players would be a fairly simple task. But despite the countless efforts to make a flawless, coherent all-time ranking of NBA players, no one can seem to get it quite right. Some players rank too high, others too low, some not even ranked at all.
I wouldn't even be surprised if this video was inspired by that Bleacher Report. Bro, they were rage baiting, man. They were trying to get people.
Make any of these mistakes and your ranking will immediately get dismissed. The latest attempt of this fleeting endeavor came last week from Bleacher Report when they released their top 100 NBA players ever list.
Bro.
A ranking that seemed relatively good, but was met with an onslaught of criticism. Like everyone else that made an attempt before them, this list was not accurate. Not good enough. Why is it so difficult to make an all-time ranking that we can all agree on? I mean, we all have our own opinion, our own personal bias. Is it even possible to make such a list? And if we could, how would we even create it? Well, believe it or not, there is a method that we can use to rank every player in NBA history with shockingly good accuracy.
Really?
It doesn't use any numbers or data, no formulas or advanced metrics. It is a method way simpler than you would ever think, and yet manages to get results with nearly 100% accuracy.
Really?
Even crazier, we actually use this method.
How much percent?
Nearly 100% accuracy.
Nearly 100% accuracy.
Even crazier, we actually use this method all the time.
How do we use it?
Today's video is sponsored by SeatGeek. Download the Last week, Bleacher Report released their top 100 NBA players ever list, and to absolutely no one's surprise, people were not happy about it. Among some of the more glaring complaints about Bleacher Report's list include Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, the now MVP, Finals MVP, and champion, not even making the list. Jason Tatum landing at 93, John Stockton ranked ahead of players like Chris Paul and Kawhi Leonard, and of course Kobe Bryant falling outside of the top 10. Despite polling their staff of NBA experts, writers, and editors, the results
Kobe out of the top 10 make no sense, bro, at all.
This comprehensive ranking only lets people confused and annoyed. Ranking players should not be this difficult,
Kobe top 5.
and yet it is. But to understand why it's so difficult, we first need to understand why every ranking, no matter how thought out it is, how logical the criteria is, how much data was used, always falls short. One popular approach that some fans and experts have taken over the years is the formula method. Create a point-based system and apply those points to various factors like career stats, accolades, and impact to make an objectively accurate ranking. A method that has been tested countless times with varying levels of success. Last year, John Hollinger, longtime NBA analyst and a man credited with creating some of the first advanced NBA statistics, created a formula to determine his all-time top 100 list. His criteria being a point-based system that put varying levels of weight into factors like MVP shares, finals MVPs, win shares, and career box plus minus. A formula that resulted in LeBron as the GOAT, Jordan second, Kareem third, Duncan fourth, and Karl.
I done told everybody, man, LeBron is the GOAT, man. Hey, but I ain't saying this dude John is right.
Malone
We
fifth.
don't know what he used yet, but he came back with the right results, though. I don't know how you got there, but you got there.
All time. This list also features Harden at 13, Hakeem at 19, Steph all the way down at 27.
Whoa, Steph at where? Hold on, James Harden at 13.
Also features
Bro, as long as this 3 is like this, bro, I'm cool, bro. I'm cool, bro. I don't know about Tim and Karl Malone being 4 and 5. That's kind of wild. you know, I would definitely, Kobe got to fit in there, bro, and Shaq, bro, somewhere, bro, in the top 7. Then Larry Bird could be in here too. I get that, but Will got to go down. Carl got to find his way down. Tim got to find their way down. These 3, for sure.
Harden at 13, Hakeem
Magic too low, bro.
at 19, Steph all the way down at 27, and Isaiah Thomas at 65.
Damn.
This Reddit user went through
And this was done last year, bro. He said that list was from last year.
the trouble of creating an entire at 13, Hakeem at 19, Steph all the way down at 27, and Isaiah Thomas at 65. This Reddit user went through the
Isaiah
trouble of
Thomas.
creating an entire model from scratch to achieve the goal of, as he put it, quantifying careers using a formula that combines accolades with simple advanced stats while compensating for era and benchmarking, plus adjusting the weights of the formula against approximate expected rankings using least squared regression. In other words, he used a whole lot of stats and accolades, made some applicable adjustments, and put together an all-time top 100 ranking. The results came in, and people hated it. The glaring flaw in this method, as well as every other method that attempts to be completely objective in its approach, is that it's not objective. Even concrete things like stats and awards will inevitably have some sort of weight or value attached to them based partially off of opinion. What is a championship worth, and how do you factor it in? Should there be...
Bro, a championship is a team thing, bro. I feel like when you talk about the greatest player and the greatest team, you can't use your team stuff to make you sound better as a player, bro. Like it just doesn't add up. Like, no. If it wasn't for the other 14 men on the roster, you may not have gotten that championship. So I can't say you to go because you got so many championships, man. Like, that's just what it is, bro. That's just how I feel. Y'all let me know how you feel about that.
Off of opinion. What is a championship worth, and how do you factor it in? Should there be an era tax on players who played half a century ago? If there is, when does it no longer apply? The 80s? 90s? Is peak more important than longevity, or is it the other way around? Even awards themselves, like MVPs and DPOYs, are voted on by people with their own...
That's a good question. Is peak more important than... is more valuable than longevity, or is it the other way around? That's a really good question, man. Because things like that, yeah, I could have a discussion about, you know, if you're talking about somebody else as the greatest player, but not the rings, bro. You got a whole lot of rings, then you could say, is that team the greatest team? But not if you're the greatest player, bro.
Awards themselves, like MVPs and DPOYs, are voted on by people with their own personal bias. Creating some sort of formula involves attributing value to all of these things, but without any impartial method of weighing all of these factors without injecting some sort of personal bias, the pursuit of creating a perfectly accurate ranking becomes virtually impossible. So, what if we just remove the personal bias? What if we strictly use data and numbers, 2 important factors that have no bias, to make a completely accurate and nonpartisan all-time ranking? Well, because the rankings get really weird really fast. For example, Box Plus Minus has Nikola Jokic as far and away the best player of all time. It also has Luka Doncic 4th, David Robinson 6th, and Tim Duncan 19th. But in the right hands and with enough data, and when used in conjunction with one another, a purely data-driven approach could lead us in the right direction. And this is what Ben Taylor of Thinking Basketball did back in 2017 when he created his top 40 list. As Ben says when describing his methodology, I won't attempt to balance Kobe's championships with Shaq, nor do I care about accolades like all-star teams or the number of Hall of Fame teammates someone played with. I also don't care about how many rings a player won. The very thing I'm trying to tease out is who provided the most lift. Instead of trying to assign value to things like rings and MVPs, Ben's list ranks players based on who provided the largest increase in the odds of a team winning a championship over the course of their career. Ben's specific...
That right there is key. That right there is key, man. Who brought the better chances, the better odds to the team? But, yo... I'm gonna let him talk, man.
Increase in
that, bro. Couldn't said it any better.
The odds of a team winning a championship
that's from
over the course of their
2017.
career. Ben's specific method and reasoning is probably the best out there when it comes to seeking an objective ranking, using the best advanced metrics available and using them logically to find the most accurate conclusion. The results of this experiment were eventually updated in 2022 and are generally accepted as a really solid list without the outliers or massive holes that other
Hold on. Damn, they just keep messing with Michael. Alright, you know, I still think Bill Russell could find his way out of the top 5 because, you know, where is Kobe at? You know what I'm saying? Hakeem. No, bro. Like, no. I get this right here, but no.
Really accepted as a really
Bro, Kobe at 12. This was in 2022. So the Warriors didn't win their ring yet. Steph was only at 3.
solid list without the outliers or massive holes that other lists have. The only problem is, this is not an all-time player ranking. As Ben stated, this list is a player evaluation, not necessarily a ranking of the greatest players of all time. And it's evaluating how good these players were, their abilities and their effectiveness in using those abilities, not how great they were or what they accomplished. A great exercise.
But what? What's the difference? Hold on. Let me hear that again.
And it's evaluating how good these players were, their abilities and their effectiveness in using those abilities, not how great they were or what they accomplished. A great exercise in determining which players had the largest impact on the court, but not the best method in determining how that impact actually translated to tangible success. For example, this method is providing evidence that Karl Malone had a larger statistical impact than Stephen Curry over the course of his career, but I'm not sure if there's a single human being on planet Earth that would argue Karl Malone is greater than Steph is. Using purely statistics and data to rank players removes valuable context that certainly matters when evaluating how great they were throughout their career. However, allowing awards and achievements to partially dictate rankings will inherently skew the results due to personal bias and variance of opinion.
Basically, who did more for the team in a positive way.
So looking at it through either of these lenses will lead you to inaccurate results. But maybe we're looking at this through the wrong lens altogether. We as fans are going to be biased. It's the very nature of being a fan. My team's great and they can do no wrong. So if we need to factor everything in, but we cannot do that without inserting some sort of bias, what if instead of trying to remove all bias from the equation, we factor this bias into the equation by asking fans what it is they value most when ranking players? If the accuracy of the rankings is determined by the fans, then so should the criteria. Well, that's exactly what this Reddit user did. Back in 2020, an NBA fan on Reddit took it upon himself to survey other NBA fans, 662 of them to be exact, on not just what's important to them in terms of greatness, but even what kind of fan they are. Among some of the questions asked were, how long have you been watching the NBA for? The most popular answer was 6 to 9 years. On a scale of 1 to 10, how big of a fan of the NBA are you? Over 80% of the results being at least an 8 out of 10. But here's where things get interesting. One of the questions asked was, what do you think is more important in a player's career? Team success or individual success? 52% of voters said team success and 48% said individual success. Almost an even 50-50 split between NBA fans in response to a very important question with two.
Bro, this is tough, man. Like, I don't get how. Anyways,
very different.
Everyone is entitled to their own opinion at the end of the day, you know what I'm saying?
Different answers. Even more revealing, voters were asked, what are the top 3 most important measures when evaluating who the greatest of all time is? The number 1 answer, career stats, followed by number of championships, number of regular season MVPs, total win shares, and career advanced statistics. The near 50-50 split between the importance of team success versus individual success visible in the almost even voting split between career stats and number of championships. One person can make their rankings based on how good a player was, meanwhile another person could make their rankings based on how much success a player had. two completely different criterias. So how exactly can we make a player ranking that is agreed upon if we can't even agree on what actually matters, or at least what matters most? No matter.
That is why we get so much bump heads with these lists. Bro, no one even came together to say this is the formula yet. So how are we gonna get these lists right when we don't even have a formula yet?
Can't even agree on what actually matters, or at least what matters most. No matter what approach you take, no matter how much personal bias or opinion you try to take out of it, the results will always end up skewed in some sort of direction. There's just too many factors, difference in opinion, difference in what matters most from fan to fan. But there is one way, one method that has been proven to be the best way to get to an accurate conclusion about things otherwise not agreed upon. What is this scientifically backed method? It's the exact one Bleacher Report used. Ask people, have you ever seen the show Who Wants to Be a Millionaire?
Let's play Who Wants to Be a Millionaire right now.
It was a game show where contestants would answer a series of multiple choice questions, with each correct answer winning them more money and progressively getting more difficult until the eventual $1 million question. Now, this game show would feature one sole contestant at a time who had to answer these questions by themselves. However, each contestant was granted what were called lifelines, tools the contestant could use to help them answer difficult.
Bro, I remember watching this with my grandmother, long live rest her soul, man. Bro, this is so entertaining.
Questions. These three lifelines were 50-50, eliminate two of the four options in a multiple
watch Slumdog Millionaire. Just throwing that out there.
Choice question, leaving the contestant with a 50% chance of getting the right answer. Phone a friend, where the contestant could call a friend live on the show for help. And the third one was Ask the Audience, where each member of the audience would vote on what they thought was the correct answer to any given question. All of these lifelines were valuable, but one of them in particular resulted in the correct answer far more than the others. The 50-50 lifeline, as the name suggests, got contestants to the correct answer about 50% of the time. Phoning a friend resulted in contestants getting the correct answer 66% of the time. But asking the audience resulted in the correct answer 92% of the time. By far, the most accurate method of coming to the correct answer for any question in the show's history. And this is a demonstration of a concept known as the wisdom of the crowd, an idea that refers to the collective judgment of a group of people often being more accurate than the judgment of any single individual, even an expert. And it is an incredibly accurate method of arriving on the correct answer to any logical question. In 2011, the BBC network put this concept to the test by filling a jar with jelly beans and asking 160 contestants how many jelly beans they thought were in the jar. The answers were absolutely insane, ranging from 500 to 50,000, and yet somehow their collective average was unbelievably close to the actual number. After conducting their experiment, it was revealed that there were exactly 4,510 jelly beans in the jar. The average guess among all 160 participants, 4,515.
Wow.
Despite their variance in answers, on average, the participants were able to get within 99.9% of the correct answer.
Wow,
by aggregating the opinions or
scary.
estimates of many individuals, the errors and biases of individual judgment tend to cancel each other out, leading to a collective result that is closer to the truth. And in possibly the most roundabout way I could conjure up, I think this same exact concept can be applied to ranking NBA players on an all-time list. Regardless of what the individuals value most and our own personal bias, if you ask enough people, chances are you'll more than likely end up at an accurate result. Better than strictly using stat-based metrics, better than the eye test or a combination of multiple factors. Simply asking people who the greatest players of all time are will show you exactly who the greatest players of all time are. And evidence of this can be found within the results of Bleacher Report's ranking. Someone ranked Kobe Bryant 18th all time. Their personal top 100 ranking is probably a little wacky. But this vote inadvertently balances out someone else who voted Kobe 4th all-time. Same goes for every single player on this list. Someone had Jokic 12th all-time, another voter had him 28th, and everyone else had him somewhere in between. The range of votes for Charles Barkley are probably the largest of any player on this list, with one vote for him as the 18th greatest player and another with him as the 74th greatest player. With individual rankings like this, you'd think the final result would be a mess, and yet Barkley ended up being ranked 25th all-time, right about where he should be. Can we make a completely accurate ranking of the greatest NBA players ever? Well, we can get really close. In terms of how we would create it and what it would look like, you're looking at it. This isn't a matter of opinion, it is a statistical principle. As Bleacher Report put it when describing their methodology, it's an impossible task, especially when confronted with the reality of comparing players from different eras. Stats help, but calculators won't ever figure all of this out. But asking enough people just might.
Hey, let me know what y'all thought about that, man. If you enjoyed the video, hit that sub, hit that like. We're gonna catch you in the next one. Keep spreading love, peace, and positivity. Until then, your boy King is out.